while since I last posted a video on my channel. I have a few things that I wanted to film that I've been trying to film since like the beginning of August, but due to unforeseen circumstances of 4 PEG-J abscesses over the last 13 weeks, and not to mention most of those weeks, I think it was about 8 of those weeks, I've been on antibiotics for. It's kind of knocked me for 6 a little bit, and I've been a bit out of whack. On top of that, I've had the kids off school as well for summer holidays. Now that they've gone back, things are a little bit calmer, and I've just tonight finished my last antibiotic over the last 2 weeks. So hopefully my stoma will stay nice and fine for me for the next couple of weeks. But literally that is why I've not been on. There's been a few things that have happened. So I am awaiting some help with my mental health, because obviously that's been like, I've been struggling with that. Obviously when it comes to health issues, my body changing and things like that because of my health issues and other things as well, my mental health has kind of taken a big knock, and especially with the fact that my PEG-J hasn't really healed since I had it placed. It's just been a little bit overwhelming and a little bit overbearing. So I've kind of been hit and miss with posting even on my Instagram. So if you followed me for a while, you'll know that majority of the time I post on Instagram, and if I don't post anything like on a post, I will literally post a story or something, so like I'm checking in with people. I still flit around that, but I'm having to kind of take a little bit of a stance back and kind of just focus on myself, and it's something I'm not very used to as well, so that has also been a bit of an effect on my mental health, because I'm trying to, as therapy instructed, put myself and my needs first, but at the same time I feel guilty in doing so because it's not something I'm used to. So while I wait further instructions and therapy with regards to my mental health, because it's become apparent that from past trauma, medical and other traumas, I have complex post-traumatic stress disorder, so I'm waiting now for therapy for that. So it has been a bit of a minute. I've also had my MRI proctogram. That was an experience and a half. Basically, if you don't know what an MRI proctogram is, and I know some hospitals do this slightly different, but my hospital, basically, they lay you on the MRI scanner, and they basically ask you to lay on your side which is really difficult for me because my hips really hurt, thanks to my EDS, but you have to lay on your side on this really hard bed, and they basically place a catheter up your bottom, and they basically push in some contrast paste or contrast gel, which basically then you have to hold within your rectum, and then they'll ask you to lay on your back, and then they'll place like a flat edged a flat bowl, like it's almost like a bowl, but it's kind of like a scoop type bowl. So the scoop part, like the hand, like the scoopy bit, like almost like if you think of a dustpan brush hand, like, like dustpan, not the brush, but the dustpan from a dustpan brush and handle. So if you think of the actual dustpan itself, it's kind of like that, but it's made of cardboard, and obviously the bit that you would normally slide onto the floor to brush all the stuff onto, the little slopey bit, that goes under your bum, basically. And then you basically sat on top of this little tiny little bowl, shovel as I call it, and you have to follow the instructions through the machine that they're telling you to do. So the machine will scan you, several times, and then they will ask you to clench your muscles and relax, and then they will ask you to bear down and then relax. Then when you've done all that, they'll ask you to get off the MRI table, go to the bathroom to try and expel, and if you've got gel left in, to expel some more gel and maybe to clean yourself up a bit. And then they'll ask you to come back, and then they'll ask you to lay back on the scanner while they do some final scans to see whether there's any contrast left there, whether you've managed to exit as much as you can, that type of thing. The whole scan takes about 45 minutes. I got told about 20 minutes, but it actually took a bit longer than that. And then you can leave. I haven't had the results back yet, but I think they can take up to 3 to 6 weeks to come through. So, you know, hopefully by the time October comes about, I should have the results, and I should be able to see my colorectal team, and then we'll go from there whether or not I need to progress on to different types of treatment, because obviously at the moment I'm doing rectal irrigation, which isn't being overly helpful, even with taking the laxative medication. So I have been told at some point I might need a colostomy bag, which is not something I'm looking forward to. I don't do well under general anaesthetic, and it's quite a big operation, and they wouldn't be able to do it as a keyhole surgery, because the last keyhole surgery I had, so the last laparoscopy surgery that I had, almost took my life. So and that was just to remove my gallbladder. So for such a big operation, they would have to do an open incision, which means that I would be really laid up for a while. And because of the fact that my PEG tube stoma is taking a long time to fully heal properly and to make amends, I'm a little bit concerned about how my intestine and everything else will form if I have a colostomy fitted. Can't talk, it's quite late. So yeah, it's been a bit of turmoil, to be honest. And due to all the strikes and doctors and nurses and shortness of staff and things like that, when I had my PEG-J placed on the 20th of February, normally a couple of weeks or a couple of months later, like I say, I think about 3 months later, I think your doctor usually would have a follow-up appointment with you as a post-operative thing to check how you're doing, how things are. But because my doctor is also based as a private doctor, and then flits between 2 NHS hospitals, he's been stuck currently working at an NHS hospital in a different area to me. So he's not been able to come to my local hospital and do clinics there because there's been too much short staffness at a different hospital in a different area, so he's had to do that. So I've not had a post-operative follow-up with my own GI doctor. I have seen a different GI doctor, but obviously at the moment, because obviously this other GI doctor doesn't really understand Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and how feeding tubes are really supposed to work. He knows how to fit them, but he doesn't really know much history about them or how they're supposed to be maintained. I'm probably not really seen this issue a lot before with frequent abscesses. I don't think he understands much about it, and he's just telling me to listen to my PEG nurses, and my PEG nurses are writing to him and saying, you know, something needs to be done, because unless the underlying situation is dealt with, I'm just going to continue to get abscesses and be on antibiotics every 2 or 3 weeks, which is not ideal because my liver function has already been a bit out of whack previously, so they don't really want to make it worse. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, we're just having a bit of an issue trying to get hold of my own GI doctor so that we can kind of figure out a plan on what to do with this tube, because when they placed it on top of an old cholecystectomy scar, which is when I had my laparoscopic surgery for my gallbladder removal, which is because my tube is placed about 1 inch above my belly button. It basically goes through the tip of the edge of that scar, And if you think of scar tissue as a almost like wafer, which lays on top of each other, they reckon that when they've placed the tube, they've created a small hole in the very thin layers of scar tissue, which is then getting filled up with fluid from, like, because you do produce like gastric fluid and stuff, because obviously you've got an open wound in your belly, so you're going to produce secretions and stuff. Them secretions are then going into that gap and that opening, which are then creating a seal eventually, because there's nowhere else for the fluid to go. It kind of gets trapped between my skin and the tube, which then creates like a scab or like a blockage, and then that creates a more of an abscess as it grows, because it's trying to get rid of it and it's got nowhere to go. And then eventually it ruptures and then causes me to have an open wound, which is obviously degrading the skin, and the wound gets worse and worse each time, to the point where it's now getting to the point where it's showing subcutaneous tissue. And then when that blocks, I then get another abscess, and it usually takes, from the time that the infection begins and the abscess breaks, is usually between 28 and 48 hours. From beginning to breakage and bursting, and then the whole but once I've been on antibiotics and the antibiotics have cleared as much of the gunk and stuff away as possible, I'm then left with the hole that it's left behind, because the skin's very thin and it just breaks open and just tears the skin right open. I'm then left I can literally clean it and the skin just peels off with how I'm cleaning it. And then I have to then pack the wound with Aquacel, and then basically put a gauze over the top. And because of that, it can take about 2 or 3 weeks for it to heal, but as no sooner does it heal, a new abscess is formed, and then I'm back on antibiotics again. So this is the problem I've been dealing with for the past few weeks. Past couple of months, since probably the end of June. So yeah, it's been a hot minute. So I apologise I've not been on, but I just thought I'd come on, tell you that I'm still around, and that, yeah, things are just, I'm just getting through day by day right now. Obviously, I'm here for anyone who needs to talk or they want to just check in. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I do have something in the pipeline for hopefully a collaboration sometime next year, but I can't really say much more until I know more. I have a meeting with someone on Saturday, I'd say a meeting, it's more like a WhatsApp discussion on Saturday, and then I will be I've got 2 appointments on Monday. One's for me, one's for my daughter. And then I have a week of relaxation before getting back into appointments on the 29th with my dogs, because they need, my dog and my 2 rabbits, because they need vaccinations. And then October begins, and then we figure out what other things we need to do. So yeah, it's just never ending. I've also been having car trouble, and it's just been one thing after another since I had my tube fitted. And I knew that this year was going to be kind of like a challenge with regards to obviously having my PEG-J fitted, and being told last year there was a possible chance I may need a colostomy at some point. So trying to get my head around all of that and having the testings and things like that has been kind of a stressful thing. And then adding other things on top of that I wasn't expecting. This year so far has been just one massive stress. So yeah, I'm still functioning, I'm still okay, I'm still getting by, but I'm just taking things day by day right now, because I'm just willing and praying that my PEG-J heals enough to the point where it just stops causing all the crap it's causing. But what else can I tell you? I can't really tell you anything else. Like, I'm still around. I've not gone anywhere. but I do appreciate every single person that watches my channel and that supports me, and appreciate every single one of you that watches and subscribes. I really, really do. So thank you so much for all your support, your kindness, your understanding, and more importantly, your patience. If you are not subscribing already, then please do. I have so much more to talk about and to help people with. So make sure you're following me for that and subscribed, and make sure that you're pressing the bell so you don't miss any of my content when I post it. I typically try and post once a month. I'm hoping to try and become more regular, and I say this every single time, and then it's about 3 months before I post again. But as a single mum of 3 kids who also have health issues, I have to put family and health first, and I'm sure that anybody who follows somebody with a chronic health issue online can understand that. So yeah, I will get on as often as I can, and just stay posted to my channel, and make sure you press the bell and subscribe, and that way you won't miss any content when I do post. But I hope you guys are fine and you're doing okay, and yeah, thank you again for so much of your support. It really means a lot, and I hope you're having a nice week, and I'll speak to you again soon. Thanks guys, speak to you soon, bye.